All right, so I just watched a really cute video about Rhea Ripley and Io Sky just being like in love with each other, and it was awesome. So let's ruin that by seeing what kind of fresh hell Billy D is going to fill us in on today.
You can't afford to ignore this. Donald Trump is now openly calling for Republicans to steal power from the states and, in his words, take over the elections. Yesterday, he called into the Dan Bongino show and he said,
"Look, I took over a border with 25.
Yeah, well, I mean, as terrifying as this is, it's not exactly surprising. Like, he already tried to steal Georgia in the Biden election, all that bullshit. So this is his playbook. Even when he won against Hillary, even before that, he was saying that he will accept the election results if he wins. He's very clear about that qualifier. So yeah, I mean, this is his playbook. I guess he feels like he didn't go hard enough against Biden, and that's why he lost. So he's like not taking any chances this time.
5 million people came into our country, many of them murderers. If we don't get them out, Republicans will never win.
Oh, I'm surprised he didn't say there. Another big thing of his is he hears asylum seekers and he says, in his retarded mind, he thinks, oh, they're from insane asylums. That's what they mean. They're asylum seekers. They're fucking nut job. They're Hannibal Lecter. They're sending their Hannibal Lecter, the late, great Hannibal Lecter.
Another election. These people were brought to our country to vote, and they vote illegally.
Which you need, I mean, I have to present an ID every time I vote. So I don't know where these fucking people are voting. Also, Dan Bongino, I hate to keep pausing, but like, this is so hilarious how he just like, he got an actual job and he's like, I can't fucking handle this. So he just went back to podcasting, which I mean, I can't blame him, piece of shit, but he is a piece of shit.
And amazing that the Republicans aren't tougher on it. The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Now, I know I kind of just...
Totally normal thing to say. He's like, there's a lot of sneaky stuff going on, so we have to control everything. That way there's nothing to worry about. Which, by the way, look it up. Look it up if you don't believe this. But like literally every piece of voter fraud in the past few elections were done by conservatives. There's there may have been one or two liberals or even leftists, I don't know, that attempted voter fraud. Literally 99%, I feel confident in saying that, 99% of voter fraud came from the right.
Hit you in the face with that clip. I want to say welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. It is Tuesday, February 3rd. Welcome back to another daily dive into the news. But that clip, it's crazy. Or just first of all, the Constitution gives states broad discretion to determine how they run their elections, not the federal government. Second of all, 25 million undocumented immigrants didn't come here under Biden. That's just a lie.
By the way, the reasons elections work and are not rampant with corruption is because they're bottom up. Okay? They start at the lowest level. They start in the states. They start with local people being at the polls, doing the work, volunteers, people who are passionate about the democratic process, passionate enough to give up their time to man these polling stations. And that's why it's so, for the most part, so corruption-free. It starts at the bottom, and then it has people passionate about it. If it's top down, they can just say whatever they want. They can remove you from the polling registry. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They can just lie about it, which that's all they do anyway. It's just it's a fire hose of lies. Everything out of their fucking mouths. Democrats as well. I mean, there are a couple that, they're getting a little bit better. But for the most part, the establishment Democrats, they're more idealistic, but they still lie. The Republicans, that's just their MO. They just lie. They lie about shit that they have no reason to lie about.
Have great data past 2023, but Pew estimates that around 3.5 million had come in by that point, putting the total population at around 14 million. And third of all, non-citizens do not vote, like putting aside the few extremely rare edge cases that are so negligible that you can basically just say non-citizens don't vote. In fact, Trump's own administration's probe into supposed voter fraud has so far turned up virtually nothing. Reportedly, he had his DHS check nearly 50 million voter registrations, and only about 10,000 or 0.02% were referred for further investigation of non-citizenship. And even assuming
yeah, because like I said earlier, every single time I've went in to vote, and I know if you're watching this, you're probably American, and if you're American, you've probably never voted before, because Americans generally just don't fucking vote. They just don't. But every time I've went to vote, they say, well, do you have an ID? And I give them my ID, and then they look at, and then they have a list, and they see, oh, I'm on the registry of the vote. I'm on the voter polls, and they log me in, and they go, "Here's your ballot," and I go vote. If you're not registered, if you don't have ID, you don't fucking vote. So all these fucking maniacs who are claiming that there's just massive voter fraud obviously have never actually bothered their asses to go vote for themselves, because they would know the process.
that number is accurate, which it may not be, since officials say that some people are mistakenly flagged. That's only registered voters. It says nothing about how many actually voted. But of course, yeah, none of this is new. Election integrity has never been in doubt for anyone but Donald Trump and the people he suckered into his delusional fantasy world. And so it seems like everyone with a shred of sanity left, who care about honesty over loyalty, they're looking toward the midterms this year and just chewing their fingernails off. Right? As far as the 15 places or states where Trump says that he wants to take over voting, he didn't name them, but he mentioned a couple later on, including Minnesota.
It's a mess. There's something in the water up there, and I love the state. I won the state 3 times, but I got no credit for it. I won that state 3 times, but it's a rigged state, really rigged badly with the Somalians.
I won, but it's still rigged. Everybody loves me. Nobody will admit it, but everybody loves me, even though everyone says they hate me. Everybody loves me. It's just a fucking such mania with it, like the whiplash you get of hearing this fucking freak talk is maddening. And generally, I can only do it through the filter of someone like Philip DeFranco, of somebody like Hassan Piker, somebody like that. Because just listening to it on its own is fucking insane. You feel like you're going insane. And that's actually part of the reason why I'm doing this. I wanted to actually get my voice out there more. I want to have I want to get my opinions out there. And maybe if I do it with other people, it'll be less maddening. Maybe some people will join me in the comments, and, some rational people. And hey, if you're an irrational nut job freak cultist, hey, you leave a comment too. It's fun. I enjoy that. I want to hear from you as well. So everyone is welcome in the comments. I love it. I love it.
And the Somalians and the theft.
Also, you had him talking about Georgia, where Trump's FBI seized truckloads of 2020 ballots, voter rolls, and scanner images from Fulton County last week.
Now you're going to see something
we only need to find 6,000 votes. You can find those. Just dig them up. It's not a problem. We only need 6,000 votes.
Georgia, where they were able to get, with a court order, the ballots. You're going to see some interesting things come out.
And yeah, Trump is right that we have seen some interesting things coming out, though not what he's thinking. Instead, I'm talking about how we saw, of all people, Tulsi Gabbard on site during the FBI raid. Right? And that's really weird and concerning. I mean, we still don't have a
Russian asset, Tulsi Gabbard, by the way.
very clear answer as to why the Director of National Intelligence with zero domestic law enforcement authority would be there. Her job description does not, or rather should not, include on-site involvement in criminal investigative work. Though when lawmakers, they pressed her about it, she replied in a letter yesterday that it does actually fall under her purview because intelligence suggests election systems are vulnerable to foreign interference. But that also still doesn't explain why she attended a different agency's raid in Fulton County in particular. In fact, she admitted that she hadn't even seen the search warrant there. Right, and Gabbard actually added that she was there because Trump personally asked her to be. And as far as why Trump made that request, one source told the Times that he wanted her to assist with the FBI's investigation. But now you actually have The Guardian reporting that Gabbard's running her own investigation into the 2020 election separate from the DOJ investigation, and she's doing it with Trump's approval. And reportedly, she's been adding.
It wasn't election fraud, I don't think. It may have been, but it may have been election fraud that Tulsi Gabbard said there's no evidence of election fraud. And Trump was like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's a moron. And so she backpedaled on that really fast. But I think she was talking, there was something that she said that she just like, there's a claim and she says this is absolutely not true. And then Trump put the kibosh on that real quick. If you know what I'm talking about, leave a comment. I'm lonely, guys. Talk to me.
For months briefing Trump and senior White House advisors every few weeks on her progress. And with that, you have a source saying that she actually wasn't looking at Fulton County until the FBI raid, and other officials saying that the White House had given her far-ranging authority to hunt for voter fraud in multiple states. And so apparently you've got Tulsi Gabbard cooking up something much bigger than Fulton County, but even there, her involvement was more than just an observer. Because the day after the raid, she met with some of the FBI agents, called Trump on her cell phone, and put him on speaker so that he could talk to them, all of which she admits. And you've got sources telling the Times that Trump asked them questions and praised and thanked them for their work on the probe. One official even adding that the call was fairly short, perhaps just a minute long, and compared the conversation to a pep rally or a coach giving an encouraging halftime speech to his players. Now, that same official also claimed that Trump gave no substantive direction to the agents, which is also something that Gabbard told lawmakers, and she added that he didn't even ask them questions. But regardless of that last part, the fact that this call even took place is kind of nuts on its own, right? I mean, as reports have noted, rather than going to senior department or FBI officials, Mr. Trump spoke directly to the frontline agents doing the granular work of a politically sensitive investigation in which he has a large personal stake. And of course, we can't forget.
And I will admit, I am glad that they have been purging the FBI and they only have loyalists in there because their loyalists are very, very, very stupid. And we've seen that as evidenced by the drip feeding of the Epstein files that we've been getting. And sometimes it's very stupid in a harmful way, like, redacting information about co-conspirators and leaving victims' names just out there. One of the victims was on a news show I saw lately, and she said she did a quick search after this latest batch was released, and she said her name was all over the fucking files. So remember, they were ordered to only redact information that would harm the victims. And they've not done that, and they've redacted a whole shit ton to protect a lot of the main people involved. But there is still a lot of inept things going on, like the previous one that got released, where you could just literally copy paste the redactions into like a Word document and see what it had to say. So I don't know if that was just stupidity. Probably was stupidity. Maybe there was a guy in the FBI that felt guilty and did it on purpose. I don't think that's the case. Unfortunately, it'd be nice if there's a guy with half a heart in there that that did that on purpose. But it's probably just because they're fucking dumb. They're dumb as goddamn rocks. And that's why they're going to be making mistakes. They're going to be making mistakes left and right, and we got to capitalize on that.
The comment that Trump made at Davos.
People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be.
And actually, speaking of prosecutions, we can expect to see some fireworks in the coming months from Trump's so-called weaponization working group. Right? That's this DOJ task force that Pam Bondi whipped up last year, and she says that it's meant to investigate Biden's weaponization of the DOJ against Trump, but critics say that it's actually meant to weaponize the DOJ against Trump's enemies. Either way, it's been almost a year now, and the group has nothing to show for itself, at least not publicly. And so according to CNN, in recent weeks, Trump's been pressuring Justice Department officials for results in these and other investigations, and recently admonished a group of them for failing to deliver on cases that he wanted brought. And so now this weaponization working group is reportedly expected to start meeting daily with the goal of producing results in the next 2 months. And reportedly the group's head until now, Ed Martin, he's been pushed aside, with him reportedly keeping his title as the department's pardon attorney, but getting marginalized in his other role as the group's head because...
That's another thing that kind of gives me a little bit of hope about this, because fascism is a self-eating philosophy. From Trump's first term, pretty much everyone in his cabinet from that time is against him now. He throws people under the bus all the fucking time. The Greg, what's his fuck face? The short Gestapo fucker that couldn't get the pin off the tear gas canister. Bovino, that's the guy. He got thrown under the bus immediately. Kristi Noem, puppy killer Kristi Noem, she might be getting thrown under the bus too. It happens all the time. It happened in World War II. There's a very prominent Nazi officer whose name escapes me now, but he's one of the main targets of the Day of the Long Knives, the Night of the Long Knives. I'm going to have to do some more research after this. Seriously. But he was a very prominent Nazi officer who was gay. And he was great friends with Hitler. So he thought he was safe. But no, you're never safe. You think you're safe in this place? No. No matter how fucking loyal you are, at the first hint that you're not useful, at the first hint that it would be better to just eliminate you, they will. Because they're all fucking egotistical narcissists that only care about themselves. Trump has only ever cared about himself. It's very, very evident. So if you're on his side, don't be surprised when they eliminate you, because they will. They will eliminate you. He will eliminate you. And that's why fascism loses all the time. Even though they have all the power, they still lose because they can't help themselves. They have to destroy themselves. They need to destroy themselves. It's in their core. They can't help it.
Senior department officials saw him as ineffective in pursuing cases that Trump wants acted upon immediately. Right? And Martin has also reportedly long rubbed Deputy AG Todd Blanche the wrong way. Right? Reportedly, Blanche took issue with his lack of legal experience and got especially annoyed when Martin would go around him, sometimes to the president himself, sometimes to complain that the department's leadership wasn't moving quickly enough to hold Trump's enemies to account. But really, whatever the case, right? With new leadership at the helm and the Orange Man demanding action, this weaponization group, it's going to be something to keep an eye on this year, especially since Trump's DOJ has charged or investigated just so many people already. You've got John Bolton, Tish James, James Comey, Jerome Powell, Lisa Cook.
Even John Bolton, famous war hawk, really would be like on the list of people that should be in prison. And he's really on the wrong side of history. I hate him. However, even he wasn't safe. Even though he leaned into this fucking ideology, he still isn't safe. They're going after him now. And Jerome Powell, we have to keep him safe. Appointed by Trump, by the way, but he is actually being very non-political And it's been somewhat comforting to hear that he will still have voting power even when he's out of the Fed. So he will still have power even though he's not the chair. So that's good, but it's still not look like they just want to. Man, they're doing everything that they can to crash the dollar. The trust in the dollar is at the lowest it's ever been in history. That's why that people are the global market is looking toward gold. They're looking toward silver. They're looking toward metals. They're looking toward other currencies. The euro. They're looking toward all this because the dollar is getting fucked in the ass. And he wants to do this because it will look good on the stock market. The stock market will like skyrocket. But the thing is, the stock market will skyrocket while your buying power evaporates. It happened in Venezuela. The stock market was looking great. No one could buy shit. It happened in Greece. The stock market skyrocketed, and no one. The lira? Is that what they're on? It was disintegrated. It was destroyed, and that's what they're wanting to do here. They're wanting to make your money be fucking worthless. Yeah.
Don Lemon, all those Democrats who reminded the military not to obey unlawful.
Also, Don Lemon. Not a fan of Don Lemon, but I'm glad he's out. The fact that he was even arrested in the first place is fucking insane. He was arrested for First Amendment. That's the thing. That's another thing. These constitutionalists end up at the end of the day not giving a fuck about the Constitution. When they think that it's against their enemies, they will shred it up. Even the Second Amendment, which is the amendment for these people. It's the amendment. They clearly don't give a fuck about any of the other amendments, anything like that. It's just paper that they can rip up, use as toilet paper. But the Second Amendment is the one that they get rocket when they hear Second Amendment. They fucking pop a stiffy, you know. And even that, after the Peretti murder execution, they're like, oh, well, actually, guns are bad. We're going to take your guns. Like, don't have guns, because if you have guns, the Gestapo is going to execute you in the street. So we hate guns, which Trump was never a gun guy anyway. He got worse ratings by gun control groups than, or he got better ratings, I should say, by gun control groups than fucking Obama did. He tried to ban bump stocks, like a bunch of things. This whole "they're coming for your guns" thing, Obama got like D's and F's from gun control groups. So no, they actually aren't. I have tons of problems with the Democrats, but they aren't. They've never come after your guns. The Trump administration, their whole group, their crew, they don't like guns because they want themselves to have guns and no one else. They don't like the citizens being armed. They've shown that. They're so ham-fisted about fucking everything. And that's another thing that I'm grateful for, because it backfires and people are seeing it now. And people just generally, they don't really care about things unless it affects them. A lot of shit is affecting them now. The whole Western forces screwing over the rest of the world, it really hasn't come home. A lot of this shit is coming home now. So there's still a lot of sheep. That America is the land of the sheep. So it's really hard to wake a lot of them up. But a lot of them they can't ignore this shit anymore. They see their prices going up. They see their buying power going down. They see people being executed in the streets. And people are showing up. I am happy about that. People in Minnesota have fucking showed up. They are coming out in droves in frigid sub-zero temperatures. They're still showing up. And in New York as well, they're still showing up. And they're carrying now. I've seen pictures of people seeing ice roll into their neighborhood, and they're carrying. And ice gets the fuck out. They do, because they don't want the smoke. They want to prey on powerless, kind, empathetic people that aren't going to push back on them. As soon as they get a little bit of pushback, well, with Peretti, they found their opportunity. When he's trying to help a girl being bullied, they fire hosed him with pepper spray, pinned him to the ground, beat the shit out of him, took his gun away, and then just pumped him full of lead. So, I mean, they will get you if they can. But if they see a show of force, they back down. Because they're fucking cowards.
Orders and on and on and on. But also, like, Trump isn't just weaponizing the DOJ, they're also doing it with DHS, and we just learned about a new terrifying method that they're using to do so. It is called an administrative subpoena, and the Department of Homeland Security has been using them to target American citizens. And specifically what you're seeing are protesters, students, and those that vocally oppose them. And we've talked fairly extensively recently about administrative warrants, but an administrative subpoena, it's something different. It is a request for personal information from an establishment like a school, workplace, or even social media platform about specific individuals. And very notably, this type of subpoena does not require a judge or even grand jury's approval. In fact, you've got the Washington Post reporting that officials throughout the Department of Homeland Security, including mid-level roles, have been given authority to approve them. And that's why you've got privacy and civil rights groups accusing Trump's DHS of using this authority to strangle free speech. We've now seen them used to get information about a Columbia student who participated in a pro-Palestine protest, to attempt to identify Instagram users who protested about ICE raids in LA, and even try to get information about the thousands of
And this has been going on for a while, by the way. Don't get me, it's fucking flying toward fascism right now. But even in the Biden admin, they were doing this. They're like, people supporting pro-Palestinian views. They were getting fired. They were getting harassed. It's been going on for a long time. So the government is rotten to its core, and we do have a little bit of hope. We do have, AOC's been in there for a while. She's been great. We do have a few. Mamdani won New York. Let's fucking go. He got to work right away. And I actually haven't been keeping up on it recently. I need to look into that, but I got a lot of hope for him. Love that guy. So, I mean, there are bits like, but it's got to be kind of a grassroots thing. Like, there's somebody running in Tennessee not too long ago, and she lost, but she was in a deeply, deeply red district. And she actually gave it a fucking fighting chance. She came close. She came very close to winning. So people they're sick. They're sick of it. A lot of this they don't even look at, but things that are affecting them on a personal level, they are looking at that. And it's really getting hard to ignore for even people that are in these, hardline red areas. They see shit isn't getting better. They see farmers, the soybean farmers, got absolutely wrecked. They're still getting wrecked. And Trump bailed out Argentina with their soybean crops and all that. They're selling to China, but American farmers, they can't. So they're still getting screwed, and they've gotten a bailout. It's not enough, and it's from the tariffs that were supposed to be helping all of us, but no, it's only helping. The bailout was just a bribe. The money from the tariffs are being funneled into the top, like it always does. The average American is paying for it all, and the soybean farmers that got screwed out of all this, they got a little token. It's like, hey, we know that your life is absolutely destroyed, but here's a couple bucks. Now shut the fuck up and move on with it.
Minnesota healthcare workers protesting ICE. So also, in some cases, it's smaller scale. You had the Washington Post, for example, interviewing a man named John who had an administrative subpoena served on his Google account. And apparently just for sending an email to a prosecutor threatening to deport an immigrant back to Afghanistan where his life would be in danger. And that email reportedly asked the prosecutor not to play Russian roulette with the immigrant's life and added, err on the side of caution. There's a reason the US government, along with many other governments, don't recognize the Taliban. Apply principles of common sense and decency. And barely 5 hours later, he got subpoenaed. Now with all this, according to supporters, administrative subpoenas are critical tools that allow investigators to skip the lengthy judicial process when searching for information that could, for example, help track down a pedophile or drug trafficker. But then you have...
Yeah, we know from, especially from recent events unfolding, they really care about the children, don't they? It isn't like, I don't know, every prominent figure is wrapped up in this. Every billionaire, every powerful person is just, I mean, well, it's out in the open now, but like you read some of these letters and like the fucking balls on them to just be so open about the abuse. And I keep pausing. I'm only 7.5 minutes into this, and my video is 30 minutes long already. So I think I'm going to get, oh my God, I got so much more to go. I was going to do like a half and half. Oh, well, I'll make a bunch of shorts out of this or something. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, claims of protecting children are really fucking rich, coming from these guys who seemingly compulsively and habitually abuse children. They have a need. They have a deep-seated need deep down in their core to just like torture people in general, but especially, the most innocent and defenseless of us, children. They hate children. So, it's just very funny. Very funny. Very funny that they were saying this is to go after child abusers. Motherfucker, you are the child abuser. You are the biggest. Just the insane hypocrisy. I mean, it's not surprising, but it is infuriating.
A lot of experts saying that the lack of oversight and general secrecy, it threatens core democratic principles. And so, for example, you had one law professor saying, this vast administrative power has remained opaque even to those who receive these subpoenas and invisible to those it affects most. And with that, you had an attorney for the ACLU adding, there's no oversight ahead of time and there's no ramifications for having abused it after the fact. And saying, as we are increasingly in a world where unmasking critics is important to the administration, this type of legal process is ripe for that kind of abuse. However, legal experts are also noting that even if the courts decide that DHS is abusing its authority with these subpoenas, it's unlikely that they'll actually be forced to stop using them. And so real consequences or real change here, it seems to kind of be off the table. But I will say that may not be the case for the State Department, right? Because the State Department, along with its Secretary Marco Rubio, have now been sued by a coalition of immigration groups, attorneys, and U.S. citizens. And specifically, they're suing over a decision announced last month to suspend immigrant visa approvals for nationals of 75 different countries. At the time that it was announced last month, the reason was apparently to, quote, ensure that new immigrants will not extract wealth from the American people. Because according
No. New immigrants cannot extract wealth from the American people. Only the uber wealthy, the richest top 0.001% of wealthy people can extract wealth from the American people. Only the people that have everything can extract wealth from the American people. We will not allow these huddled masses, these people yearning to be free. Fuck them. No. Uber rich billionaires, fucking Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg. No, we need to funnel all the money to them. We need to funnel all the money that ever existed to them so that all the rest of the fucking scum at the bottom can just die out. And there'll only be like 15 people left in the world. And well, I mean, they won't have anyone else to rape, so that'll suck for them. But they'll be happy. And don't you want these people to be happy? Don't you want the people that have everything to have even more and be the only people in the world that are happy? Because that's, I mean, they deserve it, don't they? Fucking hell.
According to the Trump State Department, immigrants from those 75 countries take welfare from the American people at unacceptable rates. In their announcement, adding, we are working to ensure the generosity of the American people will no longer be abused. And the countries in question included Somalia, Haiti, Iran, and Cuba, which is notably where Secretary Marco Rubio's own family is from. However, the lawsuit against the State Department was quick to dismiss the State Department's excuses, calling it a demonstrably false claim and adding, many applicants for immigrant visas are not eligible for cash welfare and remain ineligible for years. Also, the suit went on to say that the suspension amounts to a ban on nearly half of all immigrant visa applications. And so they're looking to get the decision overturned. But also, that's not the only case against Trump's immigration crusade that we're seeing play out in court. In fact, a judge just blocked the Trump administration's plans to strip the special protection status from Haitian immigrants. More than 350,000 Haitian immigrants live and work in the U.S. under what's called a temporary protected status, or TPS. In TPS, it's given to those whose home countries are unsafe to return for reasons like a natural disaster or political instability. And in Haiti's case, it was activated in 2010 after a catastrophic earthquake, and it's been extended multiple times because of gang violence. That status, it was set to end today at the direction of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, but then at the 11th hour, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from ending the TPS, and she just slammed Kristi Noem specifically, or just straight up saying that Noem didn't have the authority to make this decision, and adding that Noem's reasoning, quote,
one thing, this puppy killer, Kristi Noem, thank you very much. She's very proud of that. Do not leave that off her title. You refer to her by her full name, puppy killer Kristi Noem. She loves murdering dogs, especially puppies. She wants you to know about it. She wrote about it in her book. So you put some respect on that name. Man.
This is on Haitians outside the United States or here illegally, ignoring that Haitian TPS holders already live here and legally so. Also adding that Noem, quote, ignores altogether the billions that Haitian TPS holders contribute to the economy. And so with all that, obviously, Team Trump not happy about this ruling. And you had Tricia McLaughlin, a DHS spokesperson, saying, temporary means temporary, and the final word will not be from an activist judge legislating from the bench. In the meantime, plaintiffs and countless other Haitian immigrants, they're taking this as a win, despite the near guarantee that this case is far from over. And so with that, you had one of the attorneys for the plaintiffs saying, although the government will probably appeal, today's ruling allows Haitian TPS holders to breathe a sigh of relief, even if only a small one. We look forward to defending the court's ruling on appeal. But then also, while we're talking about her, while she's, getting slammed by a judge, Kristi Noem, she's actually making concessions with Democrats about ICE agents, albeit, I'll say, very small ones. Right? Specifically, she just announced that all ICE agents in Minneapolis will immediately begin wearing body cameras. And that policy, they say, will spread nationwide as soon as the funding is available. Though also I'll say, Noem herself, she can hardly take credit here. The idea was actually proposed by Republican Senator Ron Johnson as a concession that could keep ICE funded as Democrats block financing, or at least they were blocking financing while I was recording today. The House passed the bill to end the partial government shutdown, sending it to Trump's
every fucking Democrats excel at one thing, and that is snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. That's their favorite thing to do. If you ask a Democrat what their favorite thing is in the world is, they might list a couple of things like I don't know, family or some bullshit answer like that. But very up toward the top of the list, what they're gonna say is their favorite thing is losing. They're gonna be like, you know what? Man, losing makes me feel so fucking good. I'm just such a loser at heart. I've always been a loser. And every time that we lose, it just fills me with joy. That's what Democrats love doing. It's like that Simpsons meme. I don't know if I think it's from an actual episode where they're having the conventions, the Democratic convention, their banner says, we're ineffective at governing. And then the Republican banner just says, and we're just plain evil. The Simpsons the Simpsons have been calling shit for decades now. And I know they fell off. I heard that they've kind of been better recently. I haven't checked them out. But for a long time, The Simpsons were the greatest show on television. And they held that record for a long, long time. But nothing lasts forever. They might have a little bit of steam left, though. I don't know.
Desk. And that is, this minor change. It definitely doesn't, do much to improve ICE's reputation at home or abroad. Right on that business and political line, we're seeing companies in countries like France and Canada either distancing themselves from or cutting ties with US entities over ICE. Then on more of a social and personal side of things, you have the likes of podcasters like Andrew Schultz getting a ton of attention for saying that he hit his breaking point after watching how the administration responded to the Alex Preddy shooting.
Like, I didn't think what's happening right now with ICE could happen in America. I genuinely did not think that was possible. I thought our institution, I thought the Constitution would hold up. Like, it all of a sudden becomes not like liberal catastrophic thinking. It starts to become very reasonable, nuanced criticism of the administration. They have just made the most far left critiques of the Trump administration. Their reaction to this has just justified all of them. In one moment, all of their responses from Trump to Kash Patel, they have justified every single and I know people will probably look at this and be like, they've done a million other things to justify them. Sure, and that's fair. But this specific situation, I think, is a breaking point and has justified all those criticisms. I think people's antennas are way up, and people's antennas up that were not up initially.
Right, and with all that, you had...
Okay, Andrew Schultz. I've seen some of his stand-up. He's pretty funny. He's been funny, I'll admit. He's coming around now, even though he did play a big part in getting Trump elected. He did. He had him on his podcast. He buttered him up. He said, "Hey, I'm voting for this guy." And I know. And it's perfectly justifiable to be pissed off about that. I get that. But I've seen a lot of people still bashing him, even after he's come out with these comments. And you can't do that, guys. I'm sorry. You can't do that. I actually just read a Cracked article that said the same thing. I got some issues with Crack too. I'll get into that later, maybe. But you can't stonewall this guy, because he's actually coming around. He's actually speaking out. He's seeing the shit that's going down, and he is disgusted by it. But he said, like he said there, he said, let's go back for a second. Yeah.
They have just made the most far left critiques of the Trump administration. Their reaction to this has just justified all of them.
And that's the thing about being on the left. If you're a leftist, here's what sucks about being a leftist. You're right before everybody else. You know, you see the writing on the wall, you know history, you know what's up. And yet people will go, "You're crazy. You're a crazy person." Until, like, 5, 10, 15 years later, when the people who called you crazy would be like, "No, we gotta protect workers' rights, or we gotta, like, I don't know, give school children food so that they have the nutrients to actually, like, learn throughout the day." Or, like, they come around, but it takes a long fucking time to come around. They're gonna call you fucking crazy for a long time until they realize you're right, and they're probably not going to give you credit for being right either. It sucks. They're going to be like, "Oh, well, I knew the whole time. It's so obvious. I knew the whole time." But no, until then, they're going to call you crazy. They're going to call you out, even though you're right. That Hannibal Buress meme. So, "Why are you booing me? I'm right." I always think about that when this shit happens. But yeah, that's really what sucks about being a leftist a lot of the time. You're just right before everyone else. It was like the guy that came up with hand washing for doctors. He noticed that the midwives were having a lot more success rates with births than doctors. The doctors were having a lot of infant mortality. And he noticed that the midwives were washing their hands all the time. And he's like, "Guys, doctors, you got to wash your hands. You got to clean up, dude. You're fucking poisoning these people with your fucking filth." And they actually did pick it up for a little bit. And things were improving. But then, humans got a human. And they're like, "No, well, no, we're gentlemen. We aren't dirty. We don't have to wash our hands. We can be filthy apes because we're gentlemen, and gentlemen aren't dirty." So they went back. The guy, I'll look him up later too. I can't remember people's names. It sucks. But anyways, the guy ended up going insane. He was put into a mental asylum, which at the time were just absolute hellholes. I think he died of dysentery in disgrace. And then after he died, people were like, "Holy shit, well, if we wash our hands, babies will survive." So, a lot of these people, they're just right before everyone else. And they suffer from it. And it sucks. But that's the world. And yeah. I'm gonna be posting a lot. I put plans on posting a lot because I got nothing else going on in my life. I got to do something, and I'm gonna be people are gonna come after me. I'm gonna get death threats. I know I'm gonna get death threats. I'm gonna get a lot of heat, and that's fine. I can handle that. But that's just the way it is. But you gotta fight, and I'm at a point in my life where I don't have a lot going on personally, and the world is going to absolute shit. And I've been on forums, and I go into comment sections and whatnot, but I haven't actually, like, made my voice really, really heard. That's been a massive mistake, one that I aim to remedy. So we'll see how that goes. I got high hopes. Yeah. I'm spoiling for a fight. So even though in the, like this little adventure that I'm now embarking on, I hope that I do get a lot of support, and meet people that like-minded people, and make friends, and make some progress, and make some good moves in the world, and yeah. But I know I'm going to get a lot of flack. It's just the way it is. Just just the way it is, and I'm ready for it. So again, if you want to leave a comment, if you're spoiling for a fight, so am I. So if you want to leave a comment in support, love it. A lot of people, when they support things, they don't speak up about it. That's why you get more negative reviews on review sites than positive ones. And that's okay. Maybe leave a like. I don't know. That's fine. You don't have to comment. I love it if you do. You don't have to comment. But if you're disagreeing with anything that I'm saying, and you're spoiling for a fight like I am, leave a comment. I want to do this. You're gonna give me more content, and also I'm right. I have like supreme confidence in my arguments. I spent a lot of my life studying these things. So if you want to come at me, please do. Please do. And spending a lot of time in the comments, what I've found myself is, if you are a real person and you're reading comments, especially like, on the YouTube homepage, the recommended news, you'll see like a block of news that YouTube recommends. If you click on any one of those videos, in the comments, you might see a lot of right-wing sentiment. I'm going to tell you right now, most of that is bots. There's a lot of bots in the comment sections, and a lot of it's very easy to spot. They'll have their name will be William.Dickface839 or something. They'll have no profile picture, they'll have no channel content, nothing like that. So, but there's also a lot of bots that, they're finely crafted. They're, but most of them are bots. Just know that. So if you spend a lot of time in YouTube comments, or any comment section, or any forums, like I ashamedly, that like I have done, just know that if you see hateful, divisive, right-wing comments, most of them are fake. And I want you to, probably avoid the comments in general. But if you do dive in, don't get angry. I've gotten pissed off a few times. I'll say, gotten pissed off, but don't get angry. It's fine. A lot of that is fake. A lot of that is just fomenting division and dissent, and they want you upset. They want you pissed off because it makes you weak. They want you weak. The people in power, these elites, they want you weak. So they sow this out there. It's like in Superman with his monkey bot farm. It's the same thing. Lex Luthor, which was a good Lex Luthor. I didn't see Batman vs. Superman, I'll admit it. But I mean, I've seen clips, and come on, that Lex, it was comical. Not in a good way either. Fuck, I'm almost at an hour in this video. Oh my God. How much editing am I going to do? I love editing. I haven't done any recently. I've been fucking frustrated, but I think I'm going to get back into editing. I like to edit. I think I'm going to reignite my passion. But we'll do half of this video, and hopefully it won't go too far over an hour. I'll take a break, and then we'll finish up with Philly D getting filled in. by the D, like I love to do on the daily.
Let me in one moment, all I think is a break.
Andrew kind of conceding that Trump's critics, the people who were sounding the alarms for years, they may have been right all along, or at least they were right on this issue. You know, that ends up being a big deal, not only because his podcast is pretty big, but because Andrew had Trump on his podcast leading up to the 2024 election. And so that's also why you're seeing a lot of mixed reactions to Andrew's comments here. Are you some celebrating that anyone who may have supported Trump, they're seeing the light, though others are frustrated that Andrew propped Trump up and now he kind of wants to walk it back? And I will say you actually had his co-host Charlemagne pushing on that front.
Did you not believe Trump would do any of the things that he said he was going to do because you didn't know, or because you believed in the guardrails of America?
I believe in the guardrails.
And that's I have issues with Charlemagne, but he's sometimes he will fucking spit fire, and he's not afraid to do that. He's not afraid to come at you either. So I respect that. Do have issues with the dude, but he stands on business. I'll give him that. And yeah, and don't and like, you know, if you have problems with Schultz, don't push too hard, because he does seem like he's being consistently seeing the light now, and he is coming around. And it's better to have, you know, way too late on these things than just straight up supporting fascism with your full chest, you know? So as much as he has fucked up recently, I'd much rather have an ally in this guy who does have a huge audience than an enemy. So I at this point, with the way things are going, you know, I'm thankful for the little things. So I'm happy about his turnaround, for sure.
Of America. Like, there are a lot of things that he ran on, right? That were very seductive, that seemed possible, it seemed very doable. And one by one, backtracking on these things.
And, you know, all of this, it does feel like it's hitting on a conversation.
Which again, I mean, if you knew anything about him for his entire life up to this point, Trump just lies. That's one of his favorite things to do in the world. He lies as he breathes. So he will promise you the world. All these people, they will do, they promise. It's like Elon Musk. He got so successful off of lies. What has Elon Musk ever fucking done? He hasn't done shit. The only thing he's done is use his daddy's money, which he got from slums, and being a slumlord, and using slaves in an emerald mine, just doing the most despicable shit. Which would you believe he's a renowned pedophile himself? Which I mean, credit where credit's due. I will give this to Musk, even though he was just in the files, begging to go to the island. Shocking. But I will give him this. He has protected some of his family members from his father. He's supported them. He's gotten them moved out, away from his father. He knows what his father is. So he was aware, and he did help some people. Now, it was people that were closely related to him, and like his, and the more I talk about it, the more I realize that's kind of the fucking bare minimum of praise. It really isn't even like, fuck the dude. He lies. He's made a career off of lying. That's what he does. He's used his daddy's money to buy things, and then he makes promises which he never delivers on. He's never once delivered on a promise, ever. It's never once happened. Look back at all of the promises he's made with Tesla, with the robots, with what, you name it, any of his endeavors. He'd be like, by 2020 we will have automated cars, and there'll be tunnels all throughout America with super fast cars. And he's never once fulfilled one of his promises. And if you think he has, leave a comment. Show it. Show me him delivering on a single promise. It's never happened.
We're seeing play out at all levels. I mean, whether it's personal and private, or I mean, Saturday Night Live, they just did a sketch about this kind of thing over the weekend. It was just how 10 toes down the Trump supporters have been, the MAGA movement has been. Some have referred to it as cult-like. The idea that even a small part.
And, you know, again, I was just talking about shows like The Simpsons were the greatest and they fell off hard. Saturday Night Live, they had a lot of years of being really, really, you know, not only just really funny, but like critical about power. And then a lot of it shifted to having on the people in power and like kowtowing toward them and really shameful things. Here recently, they have stepped it up. I'll give it to Saturday Night Live. They've really stepped it up. I mean, they've not only have they been, you know, critical about these things, really critical, they've been pretty fucking funny lately too. Which, you know, I'm a comedy guy. I like the ha-has. So I appreciate that. And it hooks people. So I like that. I like the direction they're going. Shout out to Saturday Night Live. I like you.
Part of it might be open to changing their minds. It feels like a big deal. But also, you've got plenty of people still feeling angry, not trusting these changes of heart, and wanting to just kind of scream, "We told you so." And then there's even more we've got.
Yeah. And, you know, going back to the Andrew Schultz thing, it's like, you know, a lot of these people, there's a lot of fucking around and there's a lot of finding out. And I try to be generous. I try to be charitable. But in a lot of these situations, especially people that are still, like, to this day, still supporting this shit, I've run out of charitability. I've ran out of sympathy at this point. For the most part. Like, if you still support this shit, fuck you. I'm, you know, there will be a reckoning. And I don't give a shit if it's just, you know, your ignorance and stupidity. I don't give a shit if it's your actual callousness, your lack of empathy. At this point, you know, I know this seems weird after I just talked up Andrew Schultz, but I'm really just pissed off all the time to the point that a lot of these people can just fucking burn, as far as I'm concerned. And on that joyful note, we've reached halfway. I'm over an hour on this. Will I edit it down? Probably not. Maybe I'll make a bunch of shorts. Maybe that's what I'll do. But I will end the video here and hopefully see you in the next half.